The motivation behind DSMX is really to provide a next generation technology for a next generation environment. If you look at the way that some of the large events have evolved since the introduction of Spektrum technology and other 2.4 gigahertz technologies, it became pretty clear that the original design of DSM2 around a 40 transmitter limit was not adequate for use in some of these larger events. So really, we applied ideas from the original designs for frequency agility and for direct sequence benefits to be combined into DSMX technology.
Well, DSMX is the culmination of 5 years of working with the radio control protocols and the events and to increase the performance in really noisy environments. So originally when we did the 2.4 technology, we were, on our own, and the noise floor at events and at fields and things like that was really low because it was only us. What we've done is been able to combine all the best ideas from spreading into one protocol that's got extremely low RF footprint. So in other words, the noise it contributes to others is extremely small, and its robustness to noise is extremely good.
DSMX was designed specifically for these huge events like CEF, like JONAL, like IRCHA, where there's up to nearly 1,000 pilots, where you have at times 80, even 100 people on at the same time. So DSMX, what's important to understand, DSMX utilizes the same wideband spreading code signal that we used in DSM2, but now it's frequency agile.
The collision performance has been improved in several ways. One, that it allocates many channels to spread the information on, and the channels are pseudo-randomly allocated. Furthermore, that the order the channels are used is also pseudo-randomly allocated. So even if two systems had the same 23 channel set, the channels would not be visited in the same order. So the probability of collision is even lower.
There are times at some of these events where we're estimating you have 60, 70, 80, maybe even 100 transmitters on. This system was designed for those types of events. And in fact, at this year's CEF, which was 2010 CEF, at this year's JONAL, and at this year's IRCHA, we had prototypes of these systems that we had been testing and utilizing. We had about 10 or 12 systems. And in fact, I attended all these events. We had several of our team folks, several of our employees that were actually testing DSMX at these events. So it's actually been proven in the field. We also do a test frequently that we'll show here on the video, where we take 100 transmitters and we turn them on simultaneously, and then we fly various airplanes. In some of the testing, we actually hook all the transmitters up to receivers, and then we record the data. We'll fly for like 45 minutes or leave the system on for 45 minutes. And at the end of the 45-minute period, we'll actually take flight log data recording of all the 100 receivers. And indeed, in that case, we have 100 transmitters in operation simultaneously, and we don't have any holds. What we have is 100 DX6Is. By the way, 40 of these 6Is are in DSM2 mode, and 60 of them are in DSMX mode. That's typically what you're going to see at a flying field, some interspersion of X versus 2. We've done this test several times in the past. Many times we do all X mode, many times we do all DSM2 mode. It really doesn't matter the combination. But today we're going to have a mix of 40 and 60 just to give you an idea on how this works. You'll notice that we have a spectrum analyzer that's attached to the laptop here. We'll record that information, and then we'll show you when we have everything turned on that the band is totally saturated. So we'll demonstrate, that indeed everything is on, and then we're going to have at it. We'll fly these individually, and we'll show you the kind of results we get when we put these in flight with 100 transmitters in operation. The purpose of this, of course, is to show you that the band is totally saturated. So the upper graph shows the spectral density, or the amount of energy usage in the band and the different sections of the band. And as you can see, the entire band is crowded or saturated. And the bottom graph shows real-time use. We've got a Beast X and a T-Rex 450 with a 6115 receiver going into idle. With DSMX, we feature the same type of wideband spreading code signal, but we simply make it agile and it jumps across the band, making it even more difficult to have RF link interference. Essentially, the signal is encoded, encrypted with unique spreading codes so that each particular receiver only recognizes its particular transmitter. That's part of the system that occurs when you do the binding process.
Both the transmitter and the receiver agree on the pattern before they ever send anything. What the receiver's doing is looking at all the noise and looking for a pattern in the noise, and that's what direct sequence is. Well, I think of like DSM2 is like 2D, DSMX is like 3D. You've got that extra dimension, which is not necessarily 2 channels versus 23. It's the fact that the 23 channels are visited in a pseudorandom order.
The advantages are greater than direct sequences and greater than separate frequency hopping.
How does it feel?
Awesome. I can't believe, just absolutely no sensation of latency, 100% total control. Obviously you see a big machine like this, flipping, tumbling around, absolutely rock solid. Like I say, there's just, you would have no idea that you even had 2 or 3 interfering transmitters, much less 100 transmitters back here on simultaneously.
I've been flying DSMX for almost a year. Started in early spring last year, 2010. Started flying it in park flyers, and then took it to the first big event, Joe Nall. I had everything I took there, had DSMX in it, from park flyer up to giant scale stuff, and that was the first experience we had with giant scale DSMX in giant scale airplanes. The Sukhoi SE, the Su-26mm SE that we just released in the Hangar 9 line, I flew the prototype for that there. In fact, that airplane got a lot of press coverage. There's a lot of various pictures and some magazines of that airplane flying at noontime demo and whatnot, and that had DSMX in it. And it was great. We intentionally flew it in very crowded environments, times when there was a lot of transmitters on. We knew there was, to kind of expose it to worst case scenario, and did not have one hiccup. It worked just flawlessly.
Customers don't have to worry about being left behind. We've built in backward compatibility and forward compatibility into DSM technology. So if you're a current customer owning DSM2 transmitter, when you buy a new receiver and it's labeled DSMX, your current transmitter will still operate that DSMX receiver in DSM2 mode. On the other hand, if you have a DSMX transmitter and you've got an installation base of DSM2 receivers in your stable, that transmitter will operate those receivers. So there's no leaving anything behind with DSMX.
If you want to upgrade to DSMX technology, it's actually very simple, especially if you have a DX8. The DX8 is ready to upgrade, and you can do it over the internet. With our other transmitters, for example, the Spektrum DX7, a DX6i, or any of the JR transmitters like the 12X, 11X, or 9503, you simply send that to our service center, and for a fee, we'll be happy to update that to X technology.
The future will be owned by DSMX, and I would say to a person, if you buy DSMX, you can be sure that you bought a system for the future, that your investment is safe, and that this system is so advanced that it already anticipates all the pollution that goes into that band. And I would say, yeah, it is a solution that is good for many, many years to come.
Spektrum's mission really is to provide customers with benefits and innovations that they can use in their modeling lives. And you've seen it with our RF technology. You've seen it recently with our entrance into aircraft telemetry in the DX8. And we're always looking for ways to leverage technology in the market into ways that modelers can translate into benefits for them. So I think what you can expect from Spektrum is more releases and innovations along those lines.